country says, really,
Yeah.
not so much rain in their book. Hi, this
Hi.
is Going Solo Media, WGSN-DB, number one TV and internet singles talk station. And this is Let's Talk About Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
Today we're talking about what's the difference between friendly and flirting. I think a lot of
Hmm.
people get really confused as the giver and the receiver, I think. And
Hmm.
one of the things I want to make sure I was thinking about this when I was driving back from my ride this morning that I really want to make sure we include in this talk today because so many men, not you maybe, but lots of men tell me and indicate on Facebook pages they don't get if you're flirting or friendly. You need to hit them over the head, and they're constantly saying a frying pan, which cracks me up. So
I'm
I
I'm
think
not going to say I'm beyond that understanding.
you understand it. So I thought this would be really good to talk about the direct, and because we women like being subtle, and from a woman's point of view and a man's point of view, what would be comfortable, friendly, giving and receiving, and then what would be from a man's point of view, giving and receiving, both friendly and flirting. Because
There you go.
boy, is there just too much chance for misunderstanding in this one.
Well, the thing about it also is that sometimes they do overlap. So
Hmm.
it's almost like, can you get with what the intention behind it is? Because the behavior may not different, but how you receive it can be a whole different spectrum. So it's important to understand it isn't so black and white, just to be clear.
And you really have, I think it's important for us to address both sides that what you're giving out and then verifying what the other person's receiving, because who
Right.
knows what happens between your mouth and their ear, or what else they're thinking about, or what other experiences they've had with other people trying to flirt or trying to just be friendly. So that just gets all mishmash too. So even if you're
Absolutely.
really direct, that doesn't mean the other person's going to hear the direct.
Absolutely true. And the thing is, and just what's makes what makes it interesting is the fact that being on the male side of things, how much both, and I've been through this myself, so I'm not saying I'm immune to this or beyond this. I still experience this myself. The responsibility, but also the missed opportunities, I would suggest, that we go through as men oftentimes is almost laughable at
Mhm.
times. But recognition is that some people, excuse me, some men err on the side of caution and perhaps miss opportunities
Mhm.
in the receiving side, and then err on the side of um, overdoing things on the giving side.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah,
so, so we've got a spectrum to talk about here, definitely for both men and for women.
so much. And I love that in all of our talks, we're not talking about you being wrong or right or good or bad at all. It was interesting because we were talking about the people that can't learn anything, don't want to learn anything, even though it's such a terrible word. They're kind of stupid. They're not capable of learning. Nobody that listens to this is like that. So what I tell people you are in this instance, you're uneducated. You just
Yeah,
don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what the other side's possibly thinking. You don't know how to even talk to them sometimes, especially if you've been married forever and got divorced or widowed. You don't even have to spell it all out for them. You had a
right.
separate communication. You read each other's minds. You finished each other's sentences, and you can't do that with a new person at all.
Absolutely. And also the fact is, quite a few people I've talked to, as clients and friends too, where they've been out of a relationship, after being one for 25, 30 years, and they'd never been on a dating app before because they didn't have them back then, dating sites and all that stuff. So the language of communication is almost foreign to them.
Yeah.
And speaking of the competence piece for a second, this is a business thing I learned many years ago about the competence grid. Well, basically, oftentimes for many people, they get upset themselves because they didn't know something.
Yeah.
But up until the moment they realized they didn't know it, they didn't know they didn't know it.
No.
And that's the thing is that when you recognize that you suddenly become aware of something you don't know, why do you beat yourself up when the recognition is like you didn't know about it? So now you know you don't know, you can do something about it. That's the good news. So in the grid, it basically talks about how there's you don't know what you don't know. Then you discover what you don't know, and you say, now I know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Then you start to learn how to master it, so you actually get to know what you now know.
Yeah.
And then when you get really competent, it's kind of like you know without thinking about it what you know.
You
And
don't
so
have
the
to
thing
think
is,
about it at all. Mm-hmm.
right? So in this conversation, let's just put down the guns
And the guards.
and the guards, and recognize for some people they're totally unaware of what they don't know yet. So what we're talking about here for some people is such a mystery. And also there are those people, and I put myself in this bucket sometimes too, where I know now what I didn't know.
Yes.
You know? And again, not to beat ourselves up, not to be like totally abusive of ourselves, saying I should have known better. No, you know now what you know now, and you don't know now what you don't know now. So
Yes.
be okay with where you are, and this is a journey we're on here.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, some of what we teach and what we share, both from experience but also what we've learned, can be of assistance to you to become more masterful in the levels of knowing that you now have.
Such a good point. Because sometimes people go, "Oh, I didn't know that. I'm still not going to do anything about it." Okay.
Yes, there's
Okay.
willingful unconsciousness.
Yeah. So, okay. It's fine with me if that's how you're going to do it. Most people go, "Oh, crap. I wish I'd known that sooner. And I'm sorry I didn't know that. Wow. What do I do with this now that I know it?" And that's the people we're talking to, because you can do
Absolutely.
such a better job. So, the other point I thought would be really important to make is usually in dating specifically, you want to kind of start out as friends. So being friendly in the beginning is sort of a baseline. Yes, you're just going to be nice and friendly to people, but you're like, wow, I think they might be interesting. I think I want to at least go talk to them and be friendly with them and see if they're friendly back, because isn't that the first step if they're friendly back? Now, certainly in that first conversation, you can up level it to flirting. But let's all talk about just being, what's it like just to be friendly, warm, open, interested, and learning about the other person, maybe sharing something about yourself. So, certainly on first meetings, for sure, you want to see, would you be friends with this person? Do you feel friendly around them? Do they seem to want to be friends with you? Because if you aren't going to start there, what's the point, right?
On the other side, though,
Yes, please. I always count on you for that. I was bragging about that today on my ride. Barry's so good about going, now the other side.
well, the thing is for us, the dreaded term we hear is being put in the friend zone. So for men, oftentimes we feel like, and maybe it's culturally or society we've been taught this, is that if we don't like strike while the iron's hot when we first meet somebody, meet a woman, and make our claim,
Yeah.
then basically we're going to be sidelined into the friend zone, and then we're screwed.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what men carrying the logic in their brains, because we haven't been educated or inspired to learn that it's okay to be friends. Because I agree with you, absolutely. Having done the work, I know this for sure. Making friends first is a great choice. But part of me is still wired that way, because that's the way men are wired. That you got to flirt, get the date, have the sex before you risk falling into the friend zone. Like do the friendship later type thing,
You want to put it in higher gear.
Yeah, that's kind of because there's something about the wiring we get, or I should say, the instructions and the training we get, or beliefs we take on as men. That friend zone is dangerous, as in it's dangerous to our possibility of being in a relationship.
Yep. But how do you navigate that?
Indeed.
So the thing about women that I can speak about, if we like you initially, if we like how you look, if we like how you treat us, if we like that we have sort of butterflies in our tummy about you, that we find the conversation feels like 5 minutes when it's been an hour, most likely, and I know you're going to feel like you have no control over this. You're not going to get put in the friend zone.
Okay.
Some of it you do have control over.
Right.
And the part that you have control over is asking us I'm interested in you questions. If there's a potential for more, that can tend to draw us in closer. Not nosy, not what we've talked about this, the question, in fact, it was last week or the week before, what questions not to ask and to ask when you're first starting out. So go back and watch that, because that can be a saving grace on the first meeting.
There you go.
But for me personally, and we talk about our personal dating lives, and certainly for my clients, it's pretty much guaranteed that if you come with some I'm interested in you questions that you've read in our profile, especially, it's a great place to get information. We'll go, wow, he seems interested. Well, let me ask him some questions and see if he seems interesting to me, and volunteer those answers, but then make sure you go back and ask us another question about what we are passionate about, or what we've read, or movies or plays or studies we've done. All of that makes us feel he likes me as a person. He's interested as a person. Because if you either get too familiar too quickly, or you just sit back and are passive, that can be the highway to friend zone.
Yeah. That's
Even
the
if
thing.
we think you're cute.
Because there is something about, and this is, I know, the wiring of the way men are wired, is that we sort of, we're built to achieve goals. And so it's like, achieve this goal, great, now go to the next one, the next one, the next one. And so what women sometimes do without realizing it is they will meet us at a certain level and not indicate there's a way beyond that one.
Yeah.
So we then put our feet up and rest and sit back. And that's what we end up. Unfortunately, we relegate ourselves to the friend zone that way. We don't even think there's a chance, because we misread what she was saying or thinking or whatever she was doing. So, and not to say that one side is better than the other, but to really speak to the dance that we're talking about here. Because there's nuance in this, and we aren't necessarily fine as men into the nuance of this stuff. Women are way more ahead of us on this one. We know that.
Yeah.
But understanding the conversation, that it is up to us to keep it going as well. Because the challenge for us also, because as men, is we get an answer and we're satisfied with the answer and we leave it there. We don't then proceed to go to the next one to pursue to ask questions. I mean, that's listed for the 35 questions, which I think is from a psychological study. I can't remember it now, but basically it's the 35 questions that at the end of which you're guaranteed to fall in love type thing. And it's a great question thing, because first of all, it perpetuates the conversation beyond the first 3 questions, which that alone is a transformation experience for most men.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The second part, though, construction next door.
Just started. I have no idea.
Oh boy.
Didn't hear it before just now. Sorry.
Timing. That's okay. Just know it's there. It's not like I'm not imagining something.
No.
But it's the second part, though, is also that the understanding of who the other person is develops. Because the other part also is that oftentimes for men, we get attracted, we talked this before many times too, we're attracted visually. So when we meet somebody and meet a woman, we're very attracted to them. However, until we get to know them, we don't know if we really want to be with them. So to have the conversation and take the conversation beyond just the initial flirtatiousness type thing, it's important to value if you want a real relationship with this person. Even as men, we need to know that. Are you texting your neighbor?
I am. Can you wait until 2? Until 2.
This is live. We're going to a live show.
Sorry. I just thought if I could just tell her she'll stop. She's really good. She'll stop.
Yeah.
Yes. Subtlety. Oh my gosh. We women are experts at it, and men, it's not even in your dictionary. So if the men, as you've learned, can get this point about being interested in learning about us and equally interested in sharing about yourself in important subjects, if I say nosy, not nosy subjects, not your last relationship, not why you got divorced, how often you want to have sex. I mean, all of that can come later in the first meeting. If you want to get a chance to move forward, this is what you do. You seem, hopefully you are interested, but at least act interested,
Right.
I mean, you really want to jump the steps. I get it. You want to get to the goal. And if the goal is you really like this person and you'd like to see them again, this is one of the carpool, the fast lane to get there. If you want to go faster, this is not going to feel faster, but it really is. It really works fast for us. It's really helpful. So look at their profile, write some questions. You know, if they have dogs or they cook or they have an interesting job or they have grandkids or they travel, come with some thoughts about, well, gosh, I read about that you did blah, blah, and tell me more about it. Or what did you like about it? Or what are you going to do next with that? And how did you get interested in it? And not in a streak like that, but have those planned out in your head so that you have points to make sure that you're going to make. Now, it could be you ask one question and the two of you get talking about that and it's effortless. How nice. But I know you guys like being good at stuff. So have a few questions in your figurative back pocket so that we're drawn in. We
Absolutely.
feel cared about. We feel that you're really wanting to be here with us.
Absolutely. And that,
Yeah.
frankly, that piece alone was game changer for many men, just to be clear. It was for me. And that's the thing, is that as simple as it sounds, because there's some part of us somehow thinks we've got to do Herculean tasks to accomplish things, sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful things too. So for men watching this video, take notes on this stuff, because recognition is that when we do ask useful and relevant questions to that person, because for us, it means that you've actually read what they wrote, which is there's a win right there.
Yeah.
But to actually ask the questions that have meaning to the person that you're asking of brings you closer, creates more trust, creates more rapport, and it also, again, back to what I said at the beginning, about perpetuates the interest level.
Yes.
Because the biggest thing, to go back to what I was saying earlier about this being put in the friend zone, is I think sometimes we actually relegate ourselves to that friend zone because we don't perpetuate interest with the one we're talking to. And it's not like we're going to be in our best game all the time, but it's about having simple, again, dating profiles are a great choice. Finding things about the person you already know now and use them. Make it, because then it makes sure that you know more about them. But secondly, it makes them know that you're interested in them, which is important.
And I like knowing that you read my profile.
Right.
You know, lots of women think men don't read the profiles. They just think they look at the pictures. I found generally they do. And you don't always talk about it. So we wouldn't know. So this is the perfect recipe. We'll hand you stuff to talk to us about. Promise. And if you have knowledge about it, share it. If you don't, then we get to tell you all about. I mean, I love explaining what equine therapy is to people that don't know. And people that know, I'm so fascinated to know, how do you know that? They've had a relative, they learned about it in part of whatever they did for their job, their schooling. It's interesting things that include equine therapy. So that is so fun to have a conversation with a guy about that. And this, I like it. I notice when they bring it up, and I don't have to make it part of I'm happy to do it, but they're paid attention. We like feeling cared about. It's big deal to us ladies. It just is. It's a secret I'm only sharing with you.
Right. Just us. Keep it in the room.
Because it's a superpower to know that, huh, Barry?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it's such a simple thing, and it is really funny that it's so obvious, but yet it's missed by so many people.
Yeah.
So I love that understanding. I want to bring it back, because the thing is, we really want to get to the topic, which is friendly or flirting.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone down one path, but it's kind of important to recognize that that friend flirt thing isn't necessarily about your behavior. It's more about how do you stay engaged. And that's the thing that maybe the ultimate learning for some people out of this is, it's not about how you do something. It's about you're staying engaged, you're communicating, that you're checking things out, you're asking questions, you're being involved. That can shift it from friendly to flirting in a way. But frankly, in this conversation, either one of them is okay, especially when you meet someone for the first time. The flirting is almost like gravy on top of the friendly in the way we're setting it up here. It isn't like one or the other, but it is important to recognize that having the underpinning, the platform of building that rapport, that friendship early on with somebody, means that flirting becomes a whole lot easier.
Mhm.
And also, I mean, easier in terms of it's easier to do. It's also easier
Mhm.
to receive because you
Mhm.
already built the trust underneath it. Because the problem with flirting for many people is they go in cold and try to flirt. And without some sort of platform to build that on, like trusting, it's on quicksand. It's like it may or may not
Mhm.
work. You don't know. So the path we're suggesting is a very smart one, frankly.
Mhm.
Much some of that myself is that because it's creating a place where flirting becomes easier because it's already been trusted into. It's like you brought it into the safe arena to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know how us women are about our safety.
Mm-hmm.
We like you sort of like the Mother May I game. You know, it doesn't have to completely be baby steps, just not big giant steps right away.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, come in self-confident,
Mm-hmm.
super good when you're doing any of the friendly or flirting. And then not only confidence in yourself, but confident in I'm going to know what to say because I've listened to this video. I've written down some things I want to talk about myself and the other person because I think often we women, and this is something that's really challenging for men, is they go, oh, nice guys finish last. It's when you're not self-confident. It's when you're not being assertive. And I don't mean aggressive, I mean assertive. And assertive is coming with a plan and asking us things that you know that will get us talking about ourselves, which makes us generally feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's also how people get into the friend zone, by not being prepared, not being confident in your ability
Mhm.
to be qualified, that you
Right.
qualify to be here talking to this person. If you're too retreating and too shy, even introverts can learn how to do this. They can be really confident one-on-one. If you're too
Reclusive.
unconfident, what?
Reclusive.
Yes, and shy
Yeah.
and hesitant, unless you're a rescuer either side, you're going to go, nice friend. I
Yeah.
could be friends with them. But generally, it's not very enticing or attracting. You're welcome, Robert, to be reticent, to be
Mm-hmm.
too cautious, especially on the guy's part. And I know right now it's hard for men. It's really extra difficult. You have no idea what's going to hurt our feelings. You have no idea what's going to upset us. You have no idea what could be off putting with your best intentions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really very sympathetic about guys right now.
Yeah.
It's hard. So if you're talking about her and her interests and the things that she does every day and is passionate about, that's generally not off. There's nothing off-putting. There's no tender thing there. So that's so safe. Or their kids or their pets. I mean, those are safe. So
Mm-hmm.
start there. Please
Yeah.
start there. And be enthusiastic about learning about whatever in the heck we want to talk about, because you know you're making headway if we're being enthusiastic.
And that's the thing. It's also that's the other part too. Is don't run too far ahead
Oh,
because the things we might say, "Oh, we're winning, we're winning." That means I can close the deal. It's like, no, maybe not. Just to be
oh, I
clear.
have to tell you, I do my Monday night
Mm-hmm.
meetup, and we had a brand new widower come as a friend of somebody else who's already there. And after the meeting, he goes, I really learned a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing. He said recently he went out with, he was so cute. Because he was married for 50 years, widowed for only 7 months, but has tried dating a little. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, so I went out with this woman and I really liked her. And I asked her if I could kiss her when we got to the car. And she said, yeah. He said, and then I know what you're going to say. I said, so I'm looking forward to getting more intimate with you in the future. I said, how'd that go? He goes, she didn't like it at all. But he was so wanting to show her that he was
Oh
attracted to her. And
yeah.
he was the nicest guy. He has no really bad intentions, but he was just being all more enthusiastic than she
See
was
this thing.
but she's like,
You
oh.
know. give him an inch, take a yard type thing. That's the thing, is a mistaken approach. It's like,
Oh, that was the perfect thing for you to give me that opening. I was like, should I tell this story? And then you said that. I was like, okay.
that's the thing, is that we have, unfortunately, sometimes we don't realize that it's incremental steps.
Yeah.
So we build that rapport, we create a connection, we have more intimacy, but we don't rush past the finish line just because we have one step towards that goal, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it is important to gauge, to pace ourselves in a way.
Pacing's so good. So here's a couple more hints for men.
Please.
Generally, if we're feeling comfortable and attracted to you, we lean forward.
Mm-hmm.
We lean towards you while you're talking or we're talking, and we don't stay stagnant, and we definitely don't back up. If we back up, think about what you just said.
Right.
If we touch you, that's a big thing to me. I want to touch them while I'm sitting there. Good point. Wow, that was so interesting. Or some invisible thing on his shirt. I want to see how it feels to touch him. I want to see how the energy is. I want to see, does that feel comfortable to me? So that, and if we play with our hair, it is so unconscious. It's so unconscious. I mean, I tell women to do it. And it's funny how they go, I didn't even really have to think about it. I just did it. And I'm like, I know. Because I think it was Allison who talked about how the way that cavemen picked women was they had wide hips, which means they probably would give birth easier and not die in childbirth. And shiny hair meant their body was healthy. And so we're flashing that we got shiny hair. So watch for that, because that means you're doing the right things. And don't do more than that. Just keep doing what you're doing, because that's when you're like, oh, I'm winning and I want to, Mother May I do a giant step, and don't do that.
No.
But we're in those subtle ways. We women are so transparent. If you know to watch for them. Don't you know that? You know that now as a guy because you've learned.
Oh, yeah. But I still make mistakes, just to be clear. I mean, that's the thing about mistakes. It's not a perfect thing. Once you know you do better, it's like when you know you do, just do better.
No.
It's ongoing. It's a learning curve. And the thing is also, and just to be clear, we're speaking in general terms here, but also for those people in the audience, there are exceptions to the rule, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember, one woman we were out with, we were in bed the first night we met. That wasn't normal. It was fun, but it wasn't normal. So the recognition is that what we're talking about here are general guidelines.
Yeah.
Obviously, with some variance depending on who you're with and who you are and what the connection and chemistry is.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to shift about the difference between friendly and flirting because there's some definite examples I've had in my past, just where, just to put one on the table, I know we're going to take a break in a minute, I probably will, is that there's opening the door can be taken as a flirt. I've had that so many times. And the funny thing is I open the door for any male or female. I open the door for people when going to a store or a market, wherever it is. And so the understanding that some people are so wired defensively against flirting that they'll misread kindness as flirting.
Mm-hmm.
So for those people who do things like that, where like open the door for people and someone takes offense at it, remember that's their stuff, not yours.
Yes.
So don't stop doing what you're doing in that context.
Because the right people are really going to like it a lot. I love it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, gosh, that's such a good point. And it made me think about, there was a big conversation on one of the Facebook pages about if you like somebody's post, does that mean you like them?
I mean, you flirt them, yeah.
Oh, there's so many misunderstandings about that.
Yeah. Even the fact that when you like somebody's post, if you like it or do you love it, does that mean you like them too much? Have you crossed the line now? Social media is crazy.
And then one of the women, and I'm very sympathetic. I know that they don't know better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's been liking other people's posts.
Oh, no.
And, well, I thought he was only liking mine. Really? Do you like his back? That's what I said. Do you like him? So then like his back. Make comments on his back. Oh, that's a good idea. Because a lot of complaints on the Facebook pages are that the men don't respond as much. And sadly, I'm going to call it out because a long time ago, I didn't know better. We'll criticize them. they'll say, oh, this is a problem I've seen. And they'll go, well, I'm not like that. You can't say all women are like that. This is why men don't respond. To say, that's a really good point. Wow, that must have been really hard. You were just being yourself, and that wasn't very nice of her. Well, I'm really glad I'm not like that. You can then say it that way.
Right.
So just because somebody does something friendly does not mean you own them, does not mean that they're in a relationship with you. It doesn't mean that they're even flirting. It means they might have noticed you and maybe you have some things in common that they liked about your post. Say something back if you like them back. If you go look at their profile or read something, then say something back. Because it happens on both sides that people misunderstand. What does that really mean? What does a like mean? What does a hug mean? What does a heart mean?
Right.
It means I'm making a comment about what you said right then. Would you like to have more of a conversation? Then tell me that.
Right.
Tell me you'd like to have a conversation with me.
So we'll talk
And
about
then
more.
So we're going to talk about what happens if they don't want to have the conversation.
See you in a minute.
Break time. And we're back talking about the difference between friendly and flirting. And oh my goodness, all the pitfalls and landmines that are available for both men and women to step on.
Oh, yeah. So just finish up the point made before the break about that commenting back on somebody's posts and everything on social media. What people forget, maybe, or don't choose to use, is the messenger feature. It's like if you like someone's post and it resonates with you, particularly if you have to like them, send them a message. Now, the caveat of that is some people don't check their messenger at all, so I can't guarantee it works. But if somebody's actively on social media, they generally will check their messages tied to the app that you're talking with them through as well. So having the ability to communicate is a key thing. And also, if you don't hear back from them for a couple of days, maybe go back to that post underneath saying, by the way, I messaged you, check your messages, sort of thing. So you can create that connection that way. But the thing is that social media, I mean, the debate that happened over when they put the feature in the social media where you put down your relationship status. And so it became a thing of like, when you meet somebody, you go out with them, when do you update your status to say you're in a relationship? The whole thing. So I want to say that I'm making that point to make the point that social media is not real life necessarily. And it certainly isn't where you make or break your life, your life or death decisions, put it that way. Is that social media is somewhere you get to meet people. And the great thing is, and I've told this before, I think Facebook, for example, is probably the best dating apps out there because you get to know somebody and all their friends, which you don't usually get to do. So there's some benefits to being on Facebook, for example, to meet somebody you possibly could date, because oftentimes you're in the same circles, or at least you have friends in common, so you get to know who that person is vicariously. And so even in that platform, once you meet the person, take the flirtationist offline. Because the other part is online flirting and offline flirting are not the same thing.
No.
So,
and we women generally, We have, it's so good you brought that up because our advice is very general. We can talk to you specifically and give you specific advice to you. What we do here is do lots of generalizations because it
Yeah.
fits a lot of people. That's why we could say this. That women generally like if you say, gosh, I'd really like to talk more about this. Could I send you a message? Could I send you a DM? And I am. We like, as I like being asked permission. I like saying, sure, that'd be great. I'd be happy to do that. It can be off-putting to quite a number of women to just show up in Messenger.
Yeah.
It feels rushed. It can feel stalking, even if that's not at all what you're doing. So just asking permission, mentioning that you'd like to have an offline conversation, because it gives us a chance to go, no, I don't think so. Or yeah, that'd be great. Because this is where you get to find out, oh, it doesn't reciprocated. Nobody dies. Nobody dies from not reciprocated, really. And you don't want to keep fantasizing that it's more than it is without checking it out. And that's one of the ways to check it out. Are they happy having a conversation offline? Lots of people have met through Facebook dating and Facebook pages, groups, by doing just that. You know, they have these I don't know how they do it, 4-hour texting things on Messenger and finding out they have all this in common and they're so happy. And then they get on the phone and they're together. So it really can work.
Right.
If you take it slow, if you mention that you're interested in doing a little more.
I have definitely made mistakes doing that, and also done things right doing that. So it's been a blend. And yes, I agree with you. That's the thing I say, that Facebook's one of the best dating apps because, as we talked about earlier, that they're building friendship first. In the dating app, you can get to know somebody and become a friend with them way before you even meet them in person, which can make that establishment of the trust and the safety we talked about earlier more effective, although, of course, there are exceptions to the rule. But build a platform where, when you do get to meet the person, where flirting becomes almost like you've already built the friendship and you get to see the person in person, you go, okay, I do like this person. And then you can build. But it is, but again, just want to say there are exceptions to the rule because there are people who stalk and do things on social media which are less than kosher. So just be clear.
Kosher. True. So then you think you like somebody more than just friendly and you want to flirt with them. So you put yourself out there. You say, gosh, I'd like to send you an instant message, or, wow, I really like your post and I'd like to talk to you more about it. And they say, no, thank you. Please accept it. Don't argue on either side. And I think women are worse. I really do. Women complain about men. I'm like, I think women are way worse about the arguing part. Except you could be friends. You could be Facebook friends. They don't want more. For whatever reason, that has probably not very much to do with you, has much more to do with them. Don't push it.
Right.
Yeah. Don't waste your time with somebody that's not interested back. You can't make them interested. You really can't. So, and then if you say, gosh, if you're the receiving end and say, you know, I just could be friends. I'm happy to be friends. Generally, most men are looking for friends. They're happy to have friends and they won't turn everybody down. And if you have, like, you go kayaking together or paddleboarding or something, then that's a really terrific male-female friend, hiking, biking.
Right.
But if they've said, I'm just finding friends with you, this wouldn't be anymore, oftentimes the men will eventually move on, especially if they've met somebody, partly because the other woman's not going to want them to have women friends sometimes. That happens a lot. In my widower dinner group, the women would often bring the men that they're dating, but seldom would the men bring the women. They don't want to come and meet all these other women in the group, which I thought was really fascinating because that's not how I feel, but I understand they feel that way. So be clear about, I could have more conversations with you. And once you have, it won't go past friends. Be honest about it.
Yeah.
But don't not ask. Please ask, because you never know when the right person's going to say yes. You don't want to give up. As Barry said, you'll let somebody wonderful go by.
Mm-hmm.
So try
that's the
not to
thing.
be afraid, because
Right.
nobody dies.
I mean, we talked about this many times before. It's about the high involvement, low attachment idea.
Mm-hmm.
Same is true here. And the thing about flirting, back to the topic in the title as well, is flirting can happen on many levels.
Mm-hmm.
And it can happen in the communication. There can be some level. Again, you got to build the trust again, build safety, so you know what field you're playing within. But about to communicate and to share flirtatious type communications is part of the conversation too. Once you build trust, but to flirt, and I've made a mistake myself, just to be clear, but flirting somebody through Messenger when you haven't built the rapport first, it can crash and burn so easily. So build the friendship, build the platform again, that solid platform which you can build from. Then there's room for that.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it can be something where the woman will initiate that when she feels safe enough to do so, which makes it easier for us men, because then it's like, oh great, I've got permission now.
Yeah.
But again, meet her where she is. Don't exceed necessarily.
And what I told the gentleman that talked to me about this first meeting he'd had, I go, he said, do you think I've blown it forever? I said, I don't know. But my advice would be go back and say, wow, I'm so excited to meet you. And I really put my foot in my mouth. And I really am fine being patient and waiting for a while. Would you give me a second chance? Apologize and ask for a second chance. She'll say yes or no. I'm so curious. I said, let me know what happens. Because they had a really good conversation and it seemed like she was okay. I mean, she said she would kiss him. So he maybe hasn't completely blown it.
Well, the thing is, it's also, he's made up the story in his head after that failure, in quotes, where he doesn't actually know anything beyond that point. He's already cut himself off.
Yeah.
And a little feedback here is that when you make a mistake that you think is a mistake, or at least the feedback is that implies you've missed the mark or whatever that was, it's okay to go, I realize I messed up. I'm sorry, I made an apology. Can we reset? Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't do that. They just go, okay, I'm done. I'm out.
We like apologies. We do. We like it.
Not every day.
A long way.
Not every day. No.
And not the same thing.
But having the ability to reset. And frankly, when we own our mistake and we apologize for it, first of all, it makes us more real.
Mm-hmm.
Second, most women, it's more attractive because it shows us being more human. So it's okay to have that vulnerability, so to speak.
We like
and
it.
the reset and the opportunity to have a do-over or say, let's back it up and start again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you already know my intention, but let me be clear, I don't want to push that. So
Which is so lovely. I'm very happy that men find me attractive.
Mm-hmm.
I just want them not to tell me more right away. I want them to ease into it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So how do you want women to flirt with you, Barry?
Well, since I've had women ask me out before, so I've had the spectrum of that experience. I think the simplest way of putting it is let me know what your truth is, in a sense that being flirted with is fun, especially when I'm engaged in the person that I like that in turn. But it's also, let me put it this way, we men, and we talked this before as well, are not necessarily as subtly tuned as women are in terms of sensitivity. So when you flirt subtly, we may not even know that you did it. So sometimes, a touch on the arm, a connection that feels like real, has a definite additive value, and it also creates it's almost like it evokes something inside of us, like, oh, okay, gets our attention. So a lot of times it is giving us giving me a sign that is clear enough that I get it, so then I can know what to do with it. Because if you give me a sign I don't even get, I miss it because it's too subtle, you're gonna wonder what happened, and I'm like, I didn't know anything did happen.
I know. You know, something could happen. So
exactly.
Being direct is essential when you're dealing with men.
Mm-hmm. Definitely helps us. I mean, I know for a lot of men, we like to play and flirt, but it's like once we know we can, that's the thing. It's not about that tightrope walk of like, am I in the safe zone? Am I not? Am I in the safe zone? Am I not? It's like, no, let's make it a little bit easier, just selfishly, by knowing it's okay that we're on the right path. Mm-hmm. So again, creating a platform works for both sides, for men and for women, to know that we have that safety and understanding with each other to then dance within.
Yes. And it really is back and forth kind of dancing and adjusting and course correcting.
Yeah.
And do it, since subtle is not the right word for men, do it in smaller bites, as you said,
Yeah.
smaller steps. Try it out. Do a small step and then go, how did that work?
Hmm.
She's still there and she's still smiling. Oh, she touched my hand again. Oh, let's do a little more. Because once I've touched them, it's okay for you to, that same way, touch my hand
Yes.
back, my
Don't overdo
arm. No, I've given you permission this much. Do this much back. If I
it.
do
Right.
more, then you can do more. And it was interesting. There was a whole thing the other day about, do you want to be asked for the first kiss? Do you want him to just do it? And it was about, they were asking women 60-40. The
Hmm.
ones who like me, I like when they ask. And the ones who said, no, I just want them to come in. So if you're going to just kiss, see how we do. Do we hug? Do we stay there? Do we pull back right away? Let us set the pace. See how far in we come, how long we stay. Do we
Yeah.
just back up and look at you, or do we disengage? It doesn't mean we don't like you. We're just not into doing more physical. So, yes, I know I'm talking subtle things again, but this is concrete. Watch,
Yeah.
take note with your eyes. Just watch what we're doing with your eyes, because the closer we come in, the safer we feel, the more attracted to you we feel, the more closer we want to be.
Yeah.
And like, a rabbit or a bird, you don't want to scare us off. So don't do too much next. Be kind to us in this area we've given you.
I like it.
And I know there's women that want men to be more aggressive and they like being more aggressive, and have at it. If it's working for you, this generally isn't working for men and women, which is why we're talking about try
Yeah.
these very specific things and see how it works.
And the thing is that directness and that like taking control of that stuff is great once you've already built the rapport. Because again, you create the safety for which to do it, so you're not going to tread on toes, so to speak.
Yes.
But the thing when you do it out of the blue,
Oh,
it's going to scare away the rabbit,
yeah.
so to speak.
And you want to get close to that rabbit. You think we're really
Exactly.
cute.
There we go.
Yes. So, if this sounds
So
like anything you've ever done in your life and it hasn't worked very smoothly, whether you're a man or a woman, you
yeah,
hear we have been there. We've studied it a lot. We give lots of great advice for people so that we can hear about your specific life and what's going on in your dating life and help you get back on track and figuring out what's the difference between being friends and flirting with somebody. So the way to get a hold of me is through my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can um, view all my YouTube videos with Barry and on my own. You can also send me a personal email at Christine@theperfectcatch. You can view my blogs and interact with all the other people I have in my life on friends on Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram.
got them all.
Really,
Getting better
you
at this all the time.
trained me well, Barry.
All these
Tell
weeks of
people how to
practice.
get a hold of every week.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do they get a hold of you?
So, like Christina, I have a website and social media. So, to get to my website, which is my name, barryselby.com, I have on there my online programs, my book. Yes, I have a best-selling book. My coursework and other things as well. And also my homepage, the front page of the website, there's a link to sign up for a discovery session with me if you want to do so. Invest your time and effort so we can actually go deep into what you're looking for and how I can help you. At the bottom of the front page, you can actually join my email list right there. Just put your name and email in, away you go. Also, I have a lot of social media platforms I'm on, and make it easier. Most of my platforms are on my name, which is easy to find. So YouTube, where I store all my videos, plus I have a playlist, which is Let's Talk Dating, which is our shows together. You can find them on my YouTube channel. So it's Barry Selby on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok. There's one other one besides that. Instagram's the one that's different, by the way, which is the real Barry Selby. But basically, if you look for my name, you can find me everywhere. Say again?
Clubhouse.
Oh, yes, Clubhouse. Yes, of course. I'm on Clubhouse too.
And
Thank
TikTok.
you for reminding me.
You're
I
welcome.
knew it was a platform, yes.
Okay.
So basically, I'm everywhere.
We are everywhere. You
We
can
are.
find us everywhere and get our sage wisdom everywhere. And
Indeed.
as well as next week at 1 o'clock Pacific
Yes,
and
indeed.
4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between with more dating and relationship advice on Going Solo Media. Let's talk about dating with Christine and Barry.
See you then.
See you next week. Bye for now.